Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Poetry and Dialogue event. We're happy to have you as company. We promise you a treat. It's going to be not just poetry, it will be music, great conversations. We're going to have pieces of visual arts, and we're going to be talking to some of our poets as we go along. I want to just say that Black History Month is really the impetus of this event, but there are other issues that are current right now that's important to us as a group, and these issues, we highlight some of them. COVID-19, there's the End SARS protest going on in Nigeria currently. This is Cancer Awareness Month and Infantile Loss Awareness Month. So we want to just thank all the agencies and all the different groups out there that are bringing light to some of these issues. We want to thank or just to recognize our partners for this event, NVTV and ACSONI, the African Caribbean Support Organization, Northern Ireland. We're going to kick this evening's event off with a speech by Dr. Livingston Thompson. Dr. Thompson sets the context, the wider context for this evening's event. Dr. Thompson is pastor at the Moravian Church in Belfast, author, cultural competency consultant, and chairman of the board at ACSONI. His delivery this evening focuses on the decade of people of African descent. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we hear from Dr. Livingston Thompson.
The UN in 2014 promulgated what we now know as the UN Decade for People of African Descent. That decade runs from 2015 through to 2024. This promulgation of the decade came against the background of a number of other important developments that had already been set in motion in the United Nations. There was, for example, a period of time when there was a program to combat racism. There was also a period of time when there was an emphasis on ending discrimination against minority ethnic people, but also people of African descent. With the promulgation of this decade, then the UN is calling on the states to come to terms with what has been its attitude, or their attitude, the attitude of states over the years to people of African descent. A significant development in the relationship between people of African descent and the rest of the world occurred during the colonial period, when for about 400 years, the people of Europe felt that it was okay to engage in trade and the enslavement of people of African descent. That has had a significant impact on the way in which the world is structured today. It means, therefore, that it is a way in which we can, in this generation, reckon with that past and make a significant way in which we aim to address it. The theme for the decade, justice, recognition, and development, challenges states and organizations, both local and international, to see how there can be a redress and a reawakening of what may be regarded as appropriate attitude to people who have suffered subjugation over a number of years. In the era of justice, what the call is for nations to recognize that there has been a tendency for justice to be treated as if it is a kind of a color derivative. That is to say, people of African descent have tended to be the ones who have had worst outcomes in the area of justice. If we consider, for example, stop and search, if we consider prison population, there's a way in which there has been a tendency for states to have a way of treating it as if it is fair that people of African descent should populate the prisons more and be stop and search more. It is in this regard the United Nations is saying to states, consider the issue relating to justice. In the matter relating to recognition, in a similar way, it's an invitation for states to look at how they are reckoning with the experiences of people of African descent in the area of educational outcomes and in the area of health outcomes, to recognize that things are not equal for states altogether, and so that people of African descent be treated with a much more intentional way to ensure that their outcomes are equal. the matters which relate, of course, to development is in a way to consider the future, to ensure that whether it is in the area of housing, or it is in the area of the cultural appropriation, or it is in the area of participating in the political leadership, that the future be seen one of equal development. So justice, recognition, development, that's the theme, and that's the challenge to us. And I hope we will rise to the challenge. Thank you.
Thanks again to Dr. Thompson for that very informative address. We're going to move right into poetry, and we're going to begin with a poet who comes all the way from the US, and Gabby, as she's lovingly called. Gabby describes herself as a first-generation African-American with Jamaican parentage. She lives and studies in New York and has a passion for music. This evening, she's going to share a piece with us called Forest.
My name is Gabrielle Campbell, and I'm going to be reading a piece called Forest. This is an original piece. I would like to say that this piece came about while I was looking at a different type of forest. I was on the train on the way home from college, and I seen a bunch of trees, but it was winter, so all the trees were bare. And it made a very interesting type of forest to me, a different type of connection to me. And at the time, I was listening to this song by a Chicago rapper. His name is Saba. And he has a song called Photosynthesis featuring another Chicago native, John Doe. She's also a rapper. And the song somehow and the scene somehow brings me to find Strange Fruit by Billie Holiday, to refine the song and revisit the song. And so this song, both songs, have inspired this piece. I hope you enjoy it. Forest. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? The branchless trees create a forest. Blank brown branches, stripped bark branches, family tree branches. Branches too evident, ain't see-through to see you effortless, naked like eye birth of a vision test if a fruit is forbidden. Does that make the tree forbidden too? Poison forest. Forest of the valley of the shadow of death, with holes 6 foot deep, filled with browns like branches. Brown bodies sway. The brown branch bodies. 1 shots never blank branch bodies. 1 shots always black branch bodies, stripped of their rights, stripped of their lives branch bodies. What strange fruit? Enslaved from the youth branch bodies, strange fruit sway. Blank branches, blank bodies. Forest of the valley of the shadow of death, yet strange fruit. Birth where life is gone. Birth of a nation, birth recreation. Ain't it crazy how 13 was the start of freedom? Ain't it sad that the 13th wasn't real? 13 illusions, emancipation of the truth, proclamation scaring you. 13 reasons why black people keep being sacrificed, family tree branches, murdered in cop blood, stripped bark branches, land of the free, non-guilty verdict. Blank brown branches. If a black body falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? And I wonder how many forests can be built of black bodies, poison forests, sunken forests. If a black body falls on a sidewalk and everyone is around to hear it, does it scream for vengeance? If a black body falls on a playground, if a black body falls in their house, if a black body sinks in their car, if a black body falls in a backyard, if a black body falls in the front of his house, if a black body falls in the front of a police van, if a black body falls in the street, if a black body falls on the highway, if a black body falls in the Pink House projects, does their matter add on to all lives? Does it shed its last tear as the bowels give way? Someone had to give a shit. Bullets didn't. The blue man didn't. The badge didn't. Does it count how much time they had left? Does it get its final goodbye before kissing the earth? Does it leave branches of a family tree? Does it breathe? Does it know it's dead? Forbidden fruit. You don't get that knowledge. Strange fruit, ornaments of death hanging in the poison forest, forbidden skin, forbidden fruit, dripping blood like juice. Strange skin, brown skin, black skin, 'cause white is pure and black is sin. Brown branch sin. If a fruit is forbidden, does that make the forest forbidden too? If a tree is poisoned, does that make the forest poison too? If a forest is sunken, forbidden, poisoned, sunken forest of the valley of the shadow of death. Thank you.
We're going to be talking to a Caribbean lady, the beautiful Alicia Haney. And Alicia was born in the 1960s in London. I refer to her as a Caribbean lady. She is of St. Lucian heritage. Her parents came to England in the Windrush era, but in the 1960s, they returned to their homeland, St. Lucia. Alicia herself later returned to England in the 1970s, where she completed her secondary and higher education and moved to Northern Ireland in 2000. Alicia currently practices as a private pediatric physiotherapist, and she has a beautiful daughter, Davicia, I hope I've got that right, who is pursuing her dream as a 400-meter athlete. We're looking forward to this. Olympics, perhaps, Davicia, if you're hearing us, if you're watching. And Alicia is going to be reading her poems today, but we're going to talk to Alicia just about other things, life in general. Alicia, welcome.
Thank you very much, Yolande.
And so, your profile, very modest. I know that you have been working in the community in so many other spheres. You've been doing a lot of community work. I know that you were involved about a year or two ago in a poetry event that I attended, put on, I think, coordinated by Willetta.
Yes.
And Willetta is also part of this evening's program lineup. We're very excited. And so that was Circle Back. I remember Circle Back. Yes. And so this evening, I know you're going to be performing two pieces for us, but I want to ask you a bit about your book.
Okay.
Your book, Ray of Hope.
Yes.
Tell us about that book.
Well, 12 years ago, I went through the journey of miscarriage, and I would say that was my first taste of real grief. And during that journey, the inspiration came to write a book. And it's just a small book. I've got it in here today. I'm hoping to do one of the pieces at the end.
So is it a book with poems in it?
It has two poems in it, but I'm only going to do one of the poems today at the end of today. And it really did help through the journey and helped me reconnect with my faith, because I was just totally devastated. Yeah, and I think my heart within it all was just that for anyone who's gone through that pain of miscarriage or grieving would find comfort. And it always, every year I always read it. It's like the baby that wasn't born, but it's born.
I'm very glad you're able to laugh about it.
Thank you.
And to be honest, I always find that with poets, somehow there is always a crossover with poetry and becoming a published author. That seems to be, to me, what I have observed. I suppose it's a writing skill in general that it takes to make that crossover. But look, Alicia, before I let you perform your pieces, can I ask you, in your professional capacity, in the type of work you do, how has COVID-19 been for you? What has it been like?
Well, I must say, again, it's been an incredible journey. It's at the outset of things. I actually, at the end of March, contacted COVID. My household was COVID, my husband and I. And in fact, my husband had to be hospitalized on oxygen therapy.
I'm so sorry, I did not even know that.
No,
sorry.
You know, he pulled through wonderfully, and we're very thankful to God. And I only had mild symptoms, so it wasn't until things deteriorated with him that I realized I had to be tested. So I decided to shield with him for 3 months. So, and within that time, I just used it as a time for reflection and growth, and I just learned to be grateful, really. And so on the 1st of July, I started back with my business. It's called Physiotherapy at Home Service for children. So I always go to people's homes to do the physio for their children, and I was able to do that having my mask and gel and just the conditions in place. And thank goodness it's been going well.
That's very good. You've been very brave going back out there, getting back out into the workforce. You know, we've lost many lives, and really to all the families that have lost loved ones, we really sympathize and empathize, and we really would get through this time together, at least. We hope. And Alicia, over to you with your 2 pieces. I know you said one of the pieces you're going to be reading from your book, and I suppose it might touch a bit on grief or recovering.
Yes, it really
but tell us about the second piece.
One touches on grief, and the other one just is quite current, you know, within the Black Lives Matter movement and taking the knee, things like that. I just felt the inspiration to write.
Absolutely, it's Black History Month. Why not? Well done, Alicia. Looking forward to hearing your pieces.
Thank you, Yolande. The whole world was held in a grip of grief at the death of one man. Faith is the key. We have to raise the shield of faith to extinguish every fiery arrow of the evil one. And we know that we should not be overcome by evil, but to overcome evil with good. We all know the gospel song, "You shall overcome." And we know the names of those in our Black history. Their names are written in the book, but also, above all, their names are written in heaven. This poem is called I Take the Knee. I take the knee in liberty, in dignity, and in solidarity. I take the knee for equality, for legality, and for humanity. I take the knee with humility, sincerity, and sobriety. The knee assigned for worship from creation, now on assignment on the neck, satanically squeezing to suffocation, stark execution. A man held in lockdown, seen by a world in lockdown, horrified as the enemy steals and kills his breath. I can't breathe. His mother standing up on high, with open arms her son to receive. So I take the knee to beg for mercy, to plead for justice. I'll be a witness. Yes, my knee will bow and my tongue will confess as I pray to Jesus Christ my Lord. We will never forget George Floyd. Through grieving, the road of recovery is necessary, and it's different for all of us. It is important that through the pain, we find a place of healing and renewal of our minds so that we can not be conformed but be transformed. And through the pain that we press on, persevere, and pursue our God-given purpose and find our path of peace. This poem was written on the due date of the baby that I miscarried. And it was written on the 16th of September, 2008. It's called Birthday. Today, I would have seen you face to face and cuddled you in a warm embrace. I would have admired you from head to toe and tell you you're loved more than you know. I would have held your hand and pampered you at any demand. I would have gazed at you, amazed you're here. I would baptize you in a joyful tear. I would call you by your name and introduce you to all who came. Meet my lovely Gabrielle, my miracle from God, my little angel. Today, I cannot hold your hand, nor claim to fully understand. I cannot kiss and hold you near, because today you are not here yet. We have never been apart. Happy birthday, my sweetheart. Thank you.
And I'm now going to turn your attention to some of the lovely pieces of visual art that has formed the set for us this evening. Wayne Francois is one of the visual artists who has provided his work for us today, and Corinne Sensis-Smith is a second visual artist. Wayne will talk a lot about his work on video, and I'm going to talk about Corinne's work on her behalf. Corinne Smith describes herself as a person of mixed heritage, having both Jamaican and English roots. She was born and raised in Nottingham and has been residing in Belfast for the last 8 years. Corinne is a self-taught artist who creates art using a variation of media and styles. Corinne has a developing portfolio in the neo-pop art style, concept art, and is also producing a range of clay sculptures. We have one of those pieces in studio with us today, the linear piece, which she has titled Young, Gifted and Black. This is inspired by young creative members of GXRL Code who work together to support and encourage female artists. It encourages us to embrace the beauty in our uniqueness and celebrate styles from our past. Corinne Smith.
My name is Wayne Francois, originally born in Barbados, now living in Belfast. This is some of my work. My art is a reflection of my state of mind. I'm never really without my sketch pad, constantly drawing. Sometimes sketches are left at edges, other times more in-depth images emerge. I tend to focus on everyday living, my surroundings, social relevant happenings. Through this series of paintings entitled Movement and People, I have researched and discovered there are many links between Northern Ireland and my native Barbados. Some place names, expressions, words used on both islands today, along with our similar taste in foods and cooking styles. A big inspiration for me was Thomas Gregg, a 17th century prominent businessman from Belfast who actually came up with the idea of salting herring fish as a sustainable food source, which was supplied to the Caribbean slaves in Barbados, and to this century can be found in many Barbadian homes. What is art for me? It's an extension and expression of ourselves from the deepest corners of our souls to savor and share through that creation. Art is true life through my eyes. It can be courageous, creative, and often fearless. We've watched art evolve from the earliest form of communication into today's modern art. And as artists, we must continue to carry that torch.
Hi, my name is Wayne Francois and I'm from Barbados. I'm an artist and a poet. My poems tend to influence my art and vice versa. This piece is called Reflections, and this poem is called Media Reflection. We've become a nation of observers, and unfortunately by our covers we are judged. Labeled indiscriminately throughout society. Tupac said it best, only God can judge me. So let me breathe, believe, and achieve. Instead we are fearing what we do not understand, and sometimes even hating who go against the matrix. But in the end, a man is just a man. A movement has begun for a conscious revolution. They say free your mind and the rest will follow. That's a simple enough solution. And it's even being televised. But to be honest, some of us are way too busy watching other people's lives on Facebook, Twitter, my personal favorite, Instagram. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that social media is all bad, but damn. Over here we got brothers protesting for change. Brothers over here robbing for change. We swap chains for chains. Sisters selling themselves for a little bit of fame. Brothers killing one another like Abel and Cain. Have you ever watched that film called Shawshank Redemption? I think we need a new start like that character, Andy Dufresne. Because we've been through this shit. Now it's time to wash ourselves off in the rain. First order of the day, break these invisible chains. Build bridges on a spiritual plane, colonize those regions furthest in one's own brain. And then you will know it's time to wake up and fight. Not with fists, knives or guns, but knowledge. Knowledge is power, and I'm sure you'll grow old with your daughters and sons, because unity is strength, and divided we will perish. Stay mentally trapped until this racist system is demolished. I recognize that we are all rough diamonds until we're cut and polished up. But once again, wake up. Wake up and fight. Not with tanks or bombs, but in love. Love is the most powerful weapon ever formed, and if targeted in all directions, imagine a world of perfection.
We're going to continue our poetry segment with Anesu Matua. Anesu is a young, gifted poet that has made her mark here in the poetry community in Northern Ireland. This evening, her delivery is going to be slightly different. We had the honor of having Anesu as a guest on our UKUnMute podcast, where she read her poem, and she's going to be sharing that with you this evening through a YouTube clip. Ladies and gentlemen, Anesu.
Well, in honor of everyone at the table,
yes,
this poem is called Black Girl Magic. Pocket of starlight, glowing brighter than full moon, you, little black girl, are magic. Like hidden treasure, you are the gold dust beneath the coal. They tried to hide you, tried to make you something lost, but you cannot be lost. You are magic. Like a handful of healing stones, you can mend a broken heart with just your words. The smoothness of you melts over sorrows like honey. They tried to bitter you, but you cannot lose your taste. You are magic. Like a bird's first whistle, you are the melody behind the song. The beauty of you needs no mirror to be seen. They tried to bury you under a mountain of glimmering white pearls, but you, like a lighthouse, demand to be seen. You are magic. Don't believe what they tell you about witches. Don't let them switch off your magic. When they break down your door, do not cry. Instead, thank them for breaking the barrier. When they drag you by your ankles, do not kick. Instead, thank them for showing you the stars. When they burn you at the stake, do not scream. Instead, thank them for lighting a spark in someone else's heart, but don't let them take your heart, little black girl, because it is magic. The melody of you, the smoothness of you, the beauty of you, it is all magic. It is your magic. It is black girl magic.
We're going to break the poetry up a bit with some music, and to give you a performance this evening is Angela Ifunlaja, one of the Pivot ladies. Please enjoy.
Amazing grace shall always be my song of praise. For it was grace that brought my liberty. I do not know just how he came to love me so. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. I shall forever lift my eyes to Calvary, to view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous that grace that caught my fallen soul. He looked beyond saw my need.
Hi everyone, I hope you're still here and having a good time. We've kicked this evening's event off to a great start. We've had a bit of music and we've had some poetry thus far. We're going to continue our poetry segment with Florence, the beautiful Florence. This evening we're going to talk to Florence about poetry, but we are also going to talk to her about some of her other skills. Florence is a good friend of mine, perhaps in other circles. We enjoy quite a lot of banter, but this evening she's off the hook. It's purely business. Florence, welcome. And
thank you for having me.
Very well. So this is our Black History Month poetry event. A lot has been happening in our community with Black History Month, but this evening is all about poetry, the spoken word. So I want to ask you a couple of questions. I know your poetry style is very different, and you refer to it simply as the spoken word. Tell us about your poetry style.
My style, yeah, it's spoken word, but it's more, I want to be free, so it's an expression of whatever thought I have or a feeling I have. So yeah, you can't put it in a bracket, it's just an expression. I think that's the best way to put it.
So can I think of this as a rapper just going up to the microphone and he freestyles?
Yeah, it's like that, because we could be having a conversation and you could say a word that just triggers me starting to think about other things, and then that could be a poetry. So
very good. Poem, yeah. Very good. I'll not be able to think that quickly on my feet. So look, listen, hats off to you. I mean, poetry is different for different people. Some people practice the recital type of poems or poetry. I'll be sharing a piece tonight or this evening. And it really was something that came off the cusp of me sleeping, dreaming, but I'm not a poet. So Florence, as well, can I ask you about your recent pieces of published work?
Yeah, I've been writing lately because I enjoy writing and obviously making poems and talking to people. And I just thought, why don't I put it in writing so that other people will be able to enjoy that? So I've published 2 books. Right. One is a novel style, but it's from a Christian background. So it's the way I see the world through my understanding of Christ. And the other one is a poem book as well. So
a collection of poems.
Collection of poems. So you have different poems. I would say it's for different seasons of life. And
your personal original work, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's based on my experience.
Right.
But like how I felt certain times, or how I viewed things, or how I interacted with people, or how COVID affected me.
So Florence, I'm really intrigued. You didn't just sit down and write this book, particularly the collection of poems, by freestyling each of them. You would have recorded poems as you have done them over time. Is that right?
Like everywhere I am, I've got my phone. So if anything comes in my head, I'll record. I'll just note maybe a statement that will remind me of what it is that I want to write. And then when I get home on my computer, I'll write it down.
Very good. So
then, yeah, some of the pieces in it, as I was putting together the book, some of them just came to me as I was writing. So then I had to add them to the book.
Very good. So COVID-19, I mean, it's been tough, but it has inspired so many people in so many different ways. And I'm really glad for you, Florence. I know that you are also a very skilled dressmaker. And this is the month of Black History Month. And we always like to really endorse and really sort of shed light on the talent of the people within our community. So Florence, listen, what the pieces you're going to be delivering this evening, tell us about those. I'm
going to do a poem. And that poem is based on my experience as a Black woman when I came to Northern Ireland. So it's either questions that were put up to me, or questions that I've heard other people, or remarks that I've heard other people receiving. So I just thought, oh, why not make a poem and express how I feel about those things.
So it's been a pleasure talking to you, Florence. We look forward to hearing your pieces this evening. And before we go, you can tell the viewers where your books are, where they can find a copy of your books.
Yeah, my books are available on Amazon. So they're available in Kindle edition, but also in paperback, so that people will be able to read in whatever format that they prefer.
You're going to hold me to buying copies, right?
If you're nice to me, maybe I'll just give you a free copy. We'll see.
Thank you very much, Florence. Best of luck.
Thank you for having me. I can see you tilt your head. You're trying to read me, but I'm not a book. You have heard stories, and you're trying to understand. You give up because they are all not intelligent. So you have heard. Not my duty to prove you wrong. It is your loss of a gem discovery. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and intelligent too, but I guess you'll never know. I know my hair is a source of amusement and wonder. Funny hair, some would say to me. Is it really prickly like a hedgehog? Some dare to ask. Soft and lovely, actually, but keep your hands to yourself. At the push of a button, it can do gravity-defying worship, giving glory to the Maker, because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Do not call me too loud. You are just too quiet. Hey, blame them vocal cords, made for singing to the Lord. To you, I'm talking too loud. To my Savior, it is a song. I am alive. So don't call me too loud. Just join me in the chorus and let us make beautiful music, for we are fearfully and wonderfully made. When my Father made us, the Garden of Eden was home, to eat and feast on all it had to offer. He knew it had all the nutritious requirements to sustain us. So don't call my food funny. I'm just staying in touch with the intended plan. Now I am aware I have a funny accent because I've been told so. I thought I sounded like myself and normal. Maybe it's just that I speak too many languages fluently. Applaud me for being multilingual, but don't call me my accent funny. I know it's been pointed out to me before. Where I come from, the relatives are many. You have to sit and listen to many tales, gather wisdom and understand the family tree. No gossip shared, but that would be a lie. You cannot get a cushion for the hours of tale-telling. It is wise then to have your own. So don't point at my big behind. It's my cushion for tale times. Yes, I know I'm fabulous, and that's not being aggressive or full of myself. I'm just aware I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm not being difficult. It's just always difficult to explain myself. When you see me, what do you see? An ally, a friend, I hope. If only we could be allowed to be ourselves, we could become a formidable team because we are fearfully and wonderfully made. This poem was taken from inspiration from Psalm 139, verse 14. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your words, and that my soul knows very well. Thank you.
We now have a poetry recording for you from Willetta Fleming. Willetta is one of the stalwarts in the poetry community here in Northern Ireland. And Willetta, who is originally from the US, describes herself as a lover of words, one who appreciates the power that words hold. Willetta considers herself to have become a poet in full here in Northern Ireland. She says 2 of her dreams came true when she held her printed work in her hands and when she saw Circle Back come to fruition here in Northern Ireland a few years ago. Circle Back will continue to take shape and evolve in the near future as a platform for Black people of poetic voice to express themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, Willetta Fleming.
I have lived the past 18 years in Northern Ireland. I've given birth to my beautiful daughters, and I've had the honor and privilege of being able to become a poet in this country, to rub shoulders with wordsmiths and poets, authors of the like, and we have just been able to share our stories. It is one of my greatest joys. And I want to share this poem with you. It was birthed and developed June 3rd. And I believe that day magic happened as so many people gathered in front of City Hall and cried out for justice. This is history. I know where I stood on this side of history. Raised fist in Belfast City, I was not born in, but all heart. I know where I stood as the worldwide shouts for justice screamed loud. Raised fists with a city torn for years and not unknown by troubles, together we stood. I know where I stood on this side of history as the list of names in early graves rang out on the streets. George, Ahmaud, Brianna. Raised fist, we said his name. I know where I stood the day the world had enough of not being able to breathe. Yet we all wore a mask and washed our hands of every possible nasty virus. We stood together. We screamed out for justice of the murdered Black stories, pens snatched by hate-hatched cowards full of too much power. History made on the streets. History made in isolation. As long as we keep on having conversations. So murder is not on repeat like a broken record of the unsaid silence. We are in a pandemic now, but there are two. We have been in a murderous pandemic all of our lives. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I hope you're having a good time so far. In the very beginning, you would have heard me talk about UKPivot, our group. The group that I like to describe as a girlfriend group. And you would have heard from one of our pivot ladies earlier. You would have heard from Angela with that beautiful rendition of her song. And now we're going to hear from another of the pivot ladies. And we're going to talk to Natasha a wee bit. And that's the Northern Irish coming out there. We're going to talk to Natasha a little bit about her poetry. The Pivot Ladies, as you know, we are currently ending season 1 of our UKUnMute podcast. And today we are bringing you something a bit different, our Poetry and Dialogue event. It is a bit more than poetry and dialogue, isn't it? There's been music, there's been great conversations, and we've had visual artists and their work on display. Natasha is with us. Natasha, hi.
Hi.
And very quickly, we're going to have a chat and we're going to just talk about some of the other things you do. But today we know it's about poetry. So can I ask you very quickly, Natasha, what does poetry mean to you? Where did poetry begin for you?
Poetry began for me even before I started primary school. My mother used to buy a lot of books from a catalog for my sister and I. And a lot of the books that I tended to go for were nursery rhymes. So I guess poetry for me started with nursery rhymes from maybe the age of 5 or 6. And I started to try to write my own little rhymes ever since then. And I've just been writing ever since then. I haven't written anything new recently, except maybe one piece, maybe for today, I don't know. But yeah, that's where my love of poetry began.
I'm very excited to hear them because I know Raquel has been trying to pull you out for ages. Natasha, I know that very often poets tend to cross over from writing just poetry to publishing, books, just other pieces of published work. Is there anything in the pipelines for you, Natasha?
Yes. And I know if
putting you on the spot.
That's fine. I know certain of my family members, if they see this, they're going to have a big laugh because I've had stuff in the pipeline for years now. But I do have 2 poetry books actually worth of material that I just need published. And I don't know why I've been putting them on the back burner. But this pandemic and this lockdown has really made me see that time waits on no man. And I feel like I have a lot of time now, so I'm like, I'm going to use this opportunity to actually get that done. But I do have a blog where I put some of my poetry as well. It's on WordPress, and people can find me there, Chatty Natty. Some of my poetry is there.
I absolutely love that name, Chatty Natty. It describes you very well.
Yes, it does.
And it's a compliment.
Thank you. Thank you.
And listen, Natasha, this evening's piece, is it one piece that you...
2 pieces.
2 pieces. Tell us a bit about those.
The first piece is going to be called Black People Sing Blood. And that is actually...
Wow.
Yes. That is actually a piece that I wrote in 1998. And yes, so it just shows you that a lot of things that, a lot of feelings and a lot of expressions that Black people have currently, in light of all the, the things that are going on, some of the feelings are not new. So when I came across that poem, I thought, actually, instead of writing two brand new poems, I'm going to use this one because it still speaks to a lot of the expressions that a lot of Black people have today. And the other one is called I Am Black First. And yeah, I'm really getting it hard for Black History Month.
I'm telling you, I'm blown away already just by the title. And Natasha, when I listen to you, you've written this poem since 1998 and
Yes.
you haven't shared anything.
Not a
I
word.
mean, it is amazing. I
Yes.
know for you or for some people, poetry is written just as their own private expressions. And it's
Yes.
very difficult for some people to share the poetry.
Yes.
Natasha, thank you again very much. I look forward to hearing your pieces this evening.
Thank you. You're welcome. Black people sing pain. They sing sorrow. They sing grief. Black people sing bones and marrow and sinew. Black people sing blood. Black people sing love. They sing joy. They sing longing. Black people sing heart and fire and soul. Black people sing blood. Black people sing dreams. They sing hopes. They sing prayers. Black people sing strength, determination, and struggle, and faith. Black people sing blood. Black people sing. I am Black first. Whatever other descriptor or identifier someone chooses to place on my being or my existence is their business. For me, I am Black first. I'm West Indian, Caribbean, Antiguan, whatever geographical assignation subgroup I fall into, that's great and all, but I am Black first. I am a woman, a professional, an artist, a humanitarian, feminist, spiritual, an advocate who wears many hats, sometimes with the shoes to match, but I am Black first. And while I don't agree with indiscriminate labeling, categorized placements, confined boxes and classifications, don't look at me and say, you don't see color. I'm far from invisible. My skin is my beauty, not my shame. I am all that I am, and I am Black first.
Okay, so viewers, I hope you're still with us. We've had the privilege and the honor this evening to have heard some very moving pieces of poetry and to have seen the type of work that's produced by our visual artists. And we've had a bit of music. There's more to come. I promise you this evening it's going to be a treat. And so now we're going to have a brief chat with Raquel McKee. I consider Raquel to be one of the giants on whose backs the upcoming poets of this generation, particularly the ethnic minority generation of poets, this is a back that these poets would stand on. Raquel has been known in just not poetry circle only, but has been in the performing arts. Raquel will tell you a lot more about her own work, but this evening, this is a brief description of how she sees herself. A Caribbean-born poet living on the island of Ireland, and she offers pieces of poetry which gives voice to the lesser-known story. The other side of the canvas, providing a new look at the identity of Caribbean people. Raquel, welcome.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to your pieces this evening. But tell us a bit more about your work very quickly.
You've really given me big shoes to walk in, so I hope I live up to it when I do the pieces. I have been living and working in Northern Ireland now for probably about 16, 17 years.
Wow.
And since I've been here, I've had the privilege of being able to work in various aspects of the performing arts as a storyteller, first of all, and then branching out into performance poetry, and more recently as an actress. I also do singing and songwriting, but that's not so much a focus tonight. I have been working on a number of different pieces over time, and one of the ones I'm going to share today actually is a piece that was commissioned for the Links and Legacy project that Axoni put on last year.
So we're talking about the pieces of your poetry, because I can't believe that you have mentioned one piece of performing, well, acting that stands out in my mind was that piece of work that you did, Lives in Translation, I think it was.
It is.
I'm so happy that I was able to attend that. And so when I talk about your work, I know this evening is about poetry, I was hoping you'd tell us a bit more about some of the other projects that you were either involved in or upcoming projects.
Well, I was involved in Lives in Translation, which was put on by a Kibosh theatre company 2-3 years ago. And I hope I'm not divulging any information by saying that there's a new lease of life on that coming soon.
Very good.
Watch this space and you'll hear more. Yes, that was a very powerful piece written by Rosemary Jenkinson. I felt very honoured to be able to represent the story and the lives of the women, the asylum seekers that it dealt with. And I was very happy that I was given the opportunity to be the one to represent that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well done.
In terms of the poetry, as I was mentioning earlier, I've written the piece Ubuntu, well, Sound of Our Own Heartbeat it's called, and I'll be performing that for you today, but that was written for the Links and Legacy 400 project put on by the African Caribbean Support Organisation of Northern Ireland, funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund, as we looked at the links between Northern Ireland and the Caribbean and Africa with the transatlantic slave trade. So the piece that I'm doing from that is one that talks about an African lifestyle and a worldview that is different to what we experience, perhaps.
A different side of the canvas.
A different side of the canvas. So Ubuntu, I actually found out about the term Ubuntu through Desmond Tutu, and it's all about the importance of interdependence. So I'm hoping that that will come through.
And your other piece?
The other piece is brand new.
Ooh, okay.
And this one I have been working on for a project I'm involved with Terra Nova Productions. It's an intercultural theatre company, and I've been working with Rosa Stewart-McCreary on this particular project, and this is one of the pieces I've written for that. And it takes some of the mood, some of the sense of what I as a Black person, we as Black people have been experiencing over time, but also right now in the aftermath of the George Floyd protests and some of the very public comments that are being made about it all and the responses that people have to it. So this particular piece, this new piece, is just one snippet, I think, of my reaction.
Very well, Raquel. We're looking forward to hearing these pieces, and a lot of big names have been, thrown about. We've heard mention of the likes of Terra Nova, and so I really want to say at this stage that, on behalf of the African Caribbean community, we appreciate all these different agencies that have partnered with us in bringing our work, our talent to the forefront. So really, to Terra Nova and on all the others, we thank you very much. And over to you for your pieces of poetry this evening. Looking forward.
Thanks for asking.
Ubuntu heal our blind spot. Ubuntu help us see. I need you to be the better me. Cataracted by fragility and demanding gentility, we distract ourselves while our cat-o'-nines, wielded by our buccaneers, bite flesh from the oppressed. Today, high street fashion. Yesterday, cotton. Today, mobile phones. Yesterday, trains to the coast. Each bite blood staining our humanity with indulgences. Ubuntu heal our blind spot. Ubuntu help us see. I need you to be the better me. Distanced by transatlantic luxurious lifestyle, we drown out the screams of those tossed to the shark. Yesterday, great whites, attracted by the stench of blood and disease on the slave ships. Today, handlers in human trafficking rings. Yesterday, slave breeders, masking men and forcing them to mate their mother. Today, loan sharks, intimidating victims into forced labor. And with the sounds, we drown out the sound of our own heartbeat. Ubuntu heal our blind spots. Ubuntu help us see. I need you to be the better me. To spin the myth of greatness, we deconstruct the other with one-sided tales of underdevelopment and ideology of inferiority. Yesterday, upstairs, downstairs. Today, racism in sport. Yesterday, branding like cattle, dehumanizing Africans. Today, Brexit scaremongering. And with that othering, we lose the offering of unity. Ubuntu heal our blind spot. Ubuntu help us see. I need you to be the better me. Here in soft border hinterland, we carry the memory and the potential of interface. From Olaudah Equiano's welcome to Syrian refugee provision. From United Irishmen to cross-community cultural workshops. And as we dare to lead both mainland and republic alike, we resurrect hope for harmony and neural pathways for navigating peace. Ubuntu heal our blind spot. Ubuntu help us see. I need you to be the better me. Be the tsunami aid worker, the indefatigable enslaved. Be Una Lapping, the refugee camping nutritionist. Be Clifton House, guarding the graves. Be the Desmond Tutu. Be Oprah, the AIDS orphan friend. Be the camouflage maroon revolter, the Toussaint Louverture. Be the best self you can live. And then, be so much more. Ubuntu heal our blind spot. Ubuntu help us see. I need you to be the better me. All news them say. Tired of hearing about the victimized, questioning the why of offense to the subtle put downs and the put in my place because my face don't fit. Where has my dance gone? Hips swaying, shoulders shaking, freedom to the drum and bass, sacrifice to norm, the God of getting along and moving on in life, who frowns on the elaborate and the different. All news them say. Tired of hearing about the victimized, questioning the why of offense to the subtle put downs and the put in my place because my face don't fit. Where has my song gone? Its trills of passion syncopating with call and response, where once and again instinctive cultural tunes found room in expression, interred under inner circle exclusion and monoschematic interpretation of quality. Old news, them say, tired of hearing about the victimized, questioning the why of offense to the subtle put-downs and put in my place because my face don't fit. Where has my voice gone? Hell no, that won't go. To satisfy fragility of ego, whimpering so loud and over the top, and not this again, while yet collective trauma outworks in my reality, day after song after dance. I take my stance. Eyes once grounded are looking at your morning now. New day dawning now. You will hear me now.
Next up, we have a music video from one of the nominees of the Northern Ireland Music Prize, the very talented Jordan Adetunji. We recently had the privilege of having Jordan on our UKUnMute podcast, where we chatted about his music. We will be sharing a clip of that podcast episode with you, and Jordan's performance this evening will be shared through a YouTube video. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan.
I just felt like a lot of the stuff that is out there, it's about innovating and creating something new. And also me growing up listening, like I said, I was watching anime, and a lot of the Japanese sort of characters, I was always like the soundtrack. So I was just like, let me try and do something on one. So I was doing one, I was like, I like this. Yeah. It's different, and then the message as well, because there's like a lot of suicidal things going on around in Northern Ireland at the moment, and the rate is very high. So I thought, let me make something uplifting, but also touching on those issues as well. Yeah. So when making that track, it was like, okay, I'm gonna make this, and then I'm gonna add a rap onto it. So to make it different, but it's gonna translate across everywhere, so everyone can get something from it.
Can you let us know like any albums that you already have out or any that are upcoming, because we know that we're currently in this season for the Northern Ireland Music Awards.
Yes,
nominated. Yes. Excellent, and we're wishing you all the best. But you can just let the listeners and the viewers know of any albums that you have currently out or upcoming and where they can find them. So
I have a single out right now called "Woke Up." Yes. That's my latest single. Go get at it, please. I'm begging.
Really no, you don't need to beg. Really different, but just really good.
Oh, appreciate it.
One, two, three, go. Kicked up, bruised, our thoughts in my head. Didn't want to live, but instead I woke up again. I was lost, found myself breaking. I was drunk, anything I'm taking, but I woke up again. I feel I've got a chance now. Up another day, I can pass out. Pain is temporary and will last out. I feel my bad days ending. Damn, life is tough, now the clouds opened up, yeah. I've woken up, nothing can shake me off. Smile on my face and nothing can bring me down. Life can really suck sometimes, but I'm ready to stick around. I really did feel myself going under. Even when the sun did shine, life fell under. I know I'm gonna make it in the end. I don't wanna be there all again, 'cause I don't want to go back there. Smile on my face and nothing can bring me down. Life can really suck sometimes, but I'm ready to stick around. 'Cause I'm ready to stick around. I was once a victim from the way I was thinking, regurgitating, disregarding existence. Exchanging, now I'm making a difference. I beat the demons, now I'm making them listen. Not listening to negatives in my vision. I'm conditioned to elevate my position. Conditioned, healing any excision. Conditioned, giving all that I'm given. I just woke up from a dream, going for my dreams, now I'm really living. Life ain't really what it seems, devil intervenes, but he ain't winning. I don't wanna OD, throw away the pills, gotta keep living. Rest in peace to all the G's we lost to the pain, gotta keep living. Now I got it, now I'm making a marsh pit. Now I'm up and I'm recouping my losses. Loosen up and now I'm moving with suaveness. Enemies, so I'm moving with caution. Now I'm living in a matrix. Life is really at my pace and now the world is really for my taking. I just really have to face it. Now I see where I am, know who I am. Can't be tricked out of my vision. Now I'm making up a plan to motivate the gang to open up at any assistant. Now this game is in my hand, do it cause I can. Time for me to show them the wisdom. I'm just here to make a stance, doing what I can, hopefully to show them different.
Smile on my face and nothing can bring me down. Nothing can bring me down. Life can really suck sometimes, but I'm ready to stick around. Cause I'm ready to stick around. Smile on my face and nothing can bring me down. Nothing can bring me down. Life can really suck sometimes, but I'm ready to stick around. Cause I'm ready to stick around.
I'm going to share a poem with you, ladies and gentlemen, that I've written. I am no poet at all, but this is a piece of amateur work. I woke up on Sunday, the 11th of October, with just these words in my head, and so I've entitled this poem, 111. Surely you must know a black man's strength is his wealth. Physically strong, he was born to plow the land. Hands big, back broad, muscles taut. Hands digged, back whipped, muscles torn. What strength? How strong when dignity gone? His mental strength took over, planning a revolution deep down under. Hands kept digging, back shrinking, muscles twitching. Fight or flight, wait for the dead of night. It's either dead or living. What strength? Same strength, dignity giving. How now? Living in survivor's kingdom. Still hung, still shot down, though victory long won. Emotionally charged, physically protesting the wrongs, fighting in a different kind of revolution. Surely, one thing remains, only the strength of his inheritance. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for watching. Thanks to all our guests and the partners. We hope you had a great evening, as much fun as we did. Thank you so much and stay safe.